On this edition of Southern Newsweek, a boost for Maori education is announced in Otipoti, Dunedin. The team working on the Christchurch Cathedral have called in a remote vehicle. And celebrations in Queenstown as locals welcome the first flight of Aussie tourists. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Hannah Wilkins. The Associate Minister of Education paid a flying visit to a Dunedin kura this week, following up on last week's budget. As part of that, Finance Minister Grant Robertson announced a $47 million package targeting Maori education, and Kelvin Davis spelled out what that means for southern rangatahi.
Associate Education Minister Kelvin Davis welcomed two Te Kura kaupapa Māori o Otipoti on Tuesday in Dunedin, flanked by Te Taitonga MP Rino Tirakatene. The pair say more than $1 billion was earmarked for kaupapa Māori initiatives in last week's budget, with a $47 million package aimed at improving outcomes in Māori education, something Davis is passionate about.
I was a kaiako and I was a tūmaki myself before I got into politics. And so Māori education holds a special place in my heart. I was a principal up in Kaitaia.
He says the government plans to continue investing and growing a strong and capable workforce for the Māori education sector in partnership with local iwi. Davis told children and teachers in Fairfield that part of the multi-million-dollar investment will go towards improving facilities, both here in the south and around Aotearoa.
So this will benefit 17,000 taitamariki and their whānau at 215 kura in schools, and will allow each kura with an average size of 80 taitamariki to hire one additional staff member.
Currently, only 10% of children who identify as Māori take part in full immersion Māori education. Davis wants this to triple by 2040, which means 3,000 to 4,000 kaiako Māori fluent in te reo will be needed nationwide. In Dunedin, the South Today.
A game-changing operation has begun inside the Christchurch Cathedral rebuild site. A remotely operated excavator is working inside the hazardous environment in Cathedral Square. It's slowly removing tons of rubble and debris, which have been lying inside the cathedral since the 2011 earthquake.
Gently does it. With only centimetres to spare on either side, this operator of a remotely controlled excavator carefully manoeuvres his 12-tonne machine as he delicately removes tons of debris and bird guano from the inside of the earthquake-ravaged Christchurch Cathedral. This remote setup allows the operator to work from a small portacom located just outside the main cathedral site in Christchurch's city centre. That ensures he's safely distanced from all the dangerous risks found inside the decades-old debris zone.
So what he can do is very carefully go through the rubble and the guano and everything that's inside and take it out, so we can go through it, we can find any heritage items that are in there. There's stained glass windows, there are stones from the buildings, and we have a number of other items that we are looking for. We will then take those, record them in an app. They will be cleaned, protected and reinstated in the building.
She says the use of the excavator is a game changer for the team.
It is a huge step forward, and this has enabled us to reduce the time it's going to take to stabilise the building, and that's key for us because once we've stabilised it, we can safely re-enter and we can start reinstating the building.
But for operator Vaughan Breen, the new work comes with a steep learning curve.
Done it line of sight quite a bit, but getting used to not having your three-dimensional feel, just looking at a television, makes it a bit more challenging, just learning to judge things, but we're getting there.
Once the rubble is removed, it will be cleaned and sorted in preparation for its reassembly into the Christchurch Cathedral. In Christchurch, the South Today.
Thousands of care and support workers took to the streets recently, alongside some of their employers and residents, to rally in support of the sectors. They say workers face an uncertain future if the government doesn't agree to boost funding to provide a substantial increase in their pay rates. In Dunedin, protesters rallied outside the office of Labour Party MP David Clark.
Although heartfelt, our acknowledgement does not pay your bills. It does not put food on the table or petrol in the car. You struggle to make do on the wages that you get, and these wages do not reflect the mahi you do.
Okay, we want mandatory safe staffing. We want every nurse to be recognised. We want everything to be... The government, come on, no funding. Where was the funding?
Well, with what the government's doing, it's not going to help it by not giving an increase, because people aren't going to want to do the job.
Most of our workforce are female. This is absolute gender discrimination, and it's a little bit ironic because it was the Labour government that put in the equity legislation, and now they are not backing that in their own budget. We expected to actually have money put into the backbone of the health system, which is the nurses and the care support workers, and it didn't happen. And that decision was made in a context where we have thousands upon thousands of vacancies. It's just completely unacceptable. And I believe that the government needs to come to the table and talk to us about how they're going to go forward, because this response in the budget is not going to bring nurses into the country. It's not going to keep nurses or care support workers in their jobs.
Queenstown has finally received its first flight from our Trans-Tasman cousins in almost a year. It's taken a lot of work and patience, but the city was able to welcome in the Qantas aeroplane, much to the relief of some.
A warm welcome back for our friends across the ditch. The first direct flight from Australia to Queenstown in 330 days touched down on Monday afternoon. Qantas flight QF121 landed a little late, carrying 172 restless passengers. But the delay was worth the wait as families and loved ones were finally reunited after a long time apart. Queenstown Airport CEO Glenn Sowry says that having visitors back is significant for local tourism.
But the real cream on the cake is getting Australia back today, which accounts for around a third of all passengers in and out of Queenstown.
The last time Australians could fly direct to Queenstown was during last year's short-lived Trans-Tasman bubble, which opened on April 19, 2021. This time around, it's hoped the borders will stay open for good. That'll help Queenstown's economy to start to grow back to pre-COVID levels and allow tourists to once again enjoy what the home of adventure has to offer. Minister of Tourism Stuart Nash says he's excited for what this border opening means for Queenstown.
And so it's really, when I was going to say it's the beginning of the end, this is what we've been waiting for so long. You look at the International Arrivals Board and there is a plane up there. It's really cool to see, actually.
The first flight contained a mix of family and friends alongside regular travellers just keen for a break.
What's the plan while you're here?
Spend a lot of money.
help people here and enjoy.
Go to the restaurants and do some hiking.
Good on you. How long are you here for?
Just a week.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What have you got planned?
We're actually sussing out our wedding venue. So we want to get married in South Island. So yeah, we've got a recon trip planned.
Passengers were greeted by Mayor Jim Bolt and his wife, airport boss Glenn Sowry, Destination Queenstown Chairman Richard Thomas, and Tourism Minister Stuart Nash. The new arrivals were given special gift bags to mark the happy touchdown. Emotions high as loved ones embrace, celebrating being able to reunite on this side of the Tasman. In Queenstown, the South Today.
Whai Yakane, still to come on Southern Newsweek. A pair of Southern broadcasters raised thousands of dollars for a great cause, and Sign Language Week is celebrated in Gore. We'll see you after the break. No mai hoku mai, welcome back. Every day, 71 New Zealanders are diagnosed with cancer. Everyone knows somebody affected by cancer and the toll this takes on them, their friends and their whānau. Now, a novel campaign from the Cancer Society is giving supporters the chance to experience the rush of jumping out of a plane from a great height while raising funds for a great cause. I'm one of those that took up the challenge, and recently both myself and my breakfast radio colleague Damien Newell skydived out of a plane in Queenstown as part of Jump for Cancer. Our Central Otago South Today reporter Aaron Ross followed our journey.
Free falling for a good cause in Queenstown. Nerves were high on Tuesday afternoon for Dunedin breakfast radio host Hannah Wilkins as she prepared to skydive from 12,000 feet. Her colleague Damien Newell also tackled the skydive after a $1,000 donation from Dunedin business John's Furniture Warehouse. The bold activity was part of an initiative called Jump for Cancer. It's a nationwide campaign by the Cancer Society, who've partnered with 9 skydive companies across the country for the fundraising effort. Wilkins says while the nerves were warranted, they don't compare to those fighting the deadly disease.
Nervous, obviously, but at the same time, I feel like because this is part of Jump for Cancer, I mean, how can you not? 71 people are finding out today that they have cancer. So if I can jump out of a plane to make some kind of a difference, I'm okay with it.
Wilkins admits she wouldn't voluntarily jump out of a moving aircraft from 12,000 feet in the air. The challenge initially came down to a coin toss at her workplace, and Wilkins didn't expect to be in the losing position. The fundraiser is a new one for the Otago and Southland Cancer Society, which has found it tougher raising money in recent years due to COVID-19. This campaign has raised the division just over $50,000 so far, with more than 40 jumpers across the region over the month. The Dunedin radio team were keen to get on board with the cause, which is a way of getting creative with fundraising. Wilkins had the personal goal of raising $1,000, a milestone she reached in a matter of days. All the money raised will go towards people in the community who are affected by cancer. Queenstown-based company Endzone guided Wilkins through the scary freefall, but she says it wasn't what she expected.
Insane! Actually, to put it into words is crazy because I still haven't got my breath back yet, but that exceeded all expectations, I think. All the fear went out the window as soon as the parachute went up. It's the free fall.
After the thrilling leap of faith, Wilkins reckoned she'd do it again and recommended the skydive as a good challenge. Nationwide, the Jump for Cancer campaign has already raised more than $150,000, with over 230 jumpers across the country tackling the challenge, which runs until the end of May. In Queenstown, the South Today.
Almost 30 riders on highly decorated 50cc scooters took to the roads around Canterbury over the weekend to raise money for the Cancer Society. The 240-kilometre TransAlpine scooter safari saw riders travel from Christchurch to Hokitika, battling freezing temperatures as they rode across the Southern Alps.
It's not your usual bike rally. Buzzy Bees, woodsmen, superheroes and even Darth Vader lined up at the weekend for one of the Cancer Society's biggest fundraisers of the year. The TransAlpine Scooter Safari from Christchurch to Hokitika is held every second year. 290 riders braved the brisk wintry conditions to hit the road for the challenging 240-kilometre trek. Fundraising manager Heather Locke says although the ride is all about having fun, it was safety first.
We're not racing technically, that's very important. This is just more of a parade.
The first scooter safari started in 2009, with 32 riders raising $14,000. The event has snowballed since then, raising a total of $1.4 million along the way.
The origin story came from a lovely person named Blair Newton in 2009 who was diagnosed with bowel cancer. So his friends have created this event and they all wrote it together.
And riders of all ages and all walks of life are now taking part, travelling to the event from across the country.
Our oldest person doing this is 85 years old. He collects money in a bucket because he's not very tech savvy, he doesn't do it online.
She admits sore bums at the end were guaranteed, but almost $350,000 was raised for the Cancer Society, helping ease the pain. In Christchurch, the South Today.
Destination Queenstown has revealed the person who will lead the tourism organisation as the region's tourism sector rebuilds. Matt Woods previously worked for Real New Zealand and Cadrona and says he's excited for the next chapter of the Queenstown story.
New Destination Queenstown CEO Matt Woods has strong ties to the region's tourism industry. He's taking on the top job at the tourism organisation at a difficult time. Queenstown has struggled over the last few years during the pandemic, with the lack of visitors, increasing cost of living and staff shortages. But he believes the time is right for Queenstown's tourism industry to get back into the swing of things again.
You know, full credit to all of those operators that have hung in there and survived, and now it's actually time to get back into, just getting back into business and welcoming our visitors back. And then equally finding that workforce, that is the hardest thing right now.
The 50-year-old is originally from Manawatu, but has been living in Otago for the last 30 years. Woods has a strong passion for Queenstown and the reputation it holds, after spending his career at top tourism businesses including Cadrona Alpine Resort, Treble Cone and Real NZ. He admits the new role will be challenging, but is excited for what Destination Queenstown can accomplish over the next few years.
It's really around that regenerative tourism space by 2030. It's telling stories around our place and our people, and actually welcoming people that want to be here in the district and enjoy what we have to offer.
Woods is keen to hit the ground running with his new position at Destination Queenstown as international tourists begin to return to the region. The first direct international flight into Queenstown Airport in more than 330 days is set to arrive from Sydney on Monday. In Queenstown, the South Today.
Sign Language Awareness Week was held recently, and Northern Southland Kindergarten was lucky enough to have a partially deaf teacher on board to teach the language. Other teachers say they were keen to be able to join in and celebrate signing in an authentic way.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It's been really good because with the kids coming up and seeing that I'm wearing my hearing aids, they're asking what they are, what they do, and pressing the buttons and asking how that works. And then it's been a real conversation starter about how I'm different and how the other children are different from one another, and it creates a really inclusive environment, and the kids have benefited so much from just understanding and accepting the difference. It has a knock-on effect in the way that they talk to each other and the way that they come up and the way that they interact with each other.
Having Lauren lead the team this week to celebrate Sign Language Week has enabled us to learn alongside the children and enables us to celebrate Sign Language Week in an authentic way.
So a big thing at the moment is colour mixing and messy play, and so we've been focusing on the colours and how they go together and including that into the song.
It's great to have Lauren with us because she brings a wealth of knowledge that we wouldn't otherwise have. It's exciting to have her on board.
Whai Yakane. After the break on Southern Newsweek, Wanaka's returning Winter Olympians are celebrated, and one of New Zealand's greatest cricketers opens a building which bears his name. We'll see you soon. Tēnā koe, welcome back. 3 Kiwi astrophotographers have snapped their way into the world's top 25 stargazing photos as part of a competition aimed at sharing the beauty of our galaxy. Shooters from Christchurch, the West Coast and Palmerston North captured the Milky Way at the peak of its viewing season.
Stars of wonder and beauty have brought accolades for 3 New Zealand snappers. Christchurch astrophotographer Nick Faulkner was stunned when his work bagged one of the top spots in the recent Milky Way Photographer of the Year competition.
I was shocked. Didn't expect it at all.
Photoblog, Capture the Atlas, selected 25 digital images of the night skies from around the world, from the Badlands of Utah to the mountains of Eastern Europe. Photographers often braved extreme conditions to capture the stunning images in remote locations. Nick Faulkner's winning entry, called Solitary, was shot at Castle Hill in Selwyn and was the result of 30 hours of waiting and hoping. The perfect shot came after he had already shot a night sky the previous evening at the site.
Went home, heard about some snowfall that was happening about 24 hours the next day, and that happened, so I raced up again and pretty much shot exactly the same shot that I had shot 30 hours prior.
But he says astrophotography isn't as simple as point and shoot.
What I prefer to do.
Faulkner says his photos can take hours of work as he catches the midnight sky in the many dark and lonely places in the Southern Alps. He often makes hundreds of long exposures with his camera just to get the perfect picture, but says it's worth the wait.
A beautiful night sky, beautifully dark. We've actually got some of the best dark skies in the world.
Astrophotography is an interest he got into about 5 years ago. Faulkner says he loves being at one with the night sky and thinking about the universe. In Christchurch, the South Today.
A large crowd turned out in Wanaka last weekend to officially welcome home the area's Winter Olympians. Some of the athletes have spent months away from home competing for medals and can't quite believe they're back.
A sunny day made for a very warm welcome home for some of Wanaka's top winter athletes.
hundreds of supporters turned out to cheer the parade through the town at the weekend. It celebrated the homecoming from the Northern Hemisphere of the region's top snow sports athletes, including Winter Olympians and Paralympians. Many of the Otago athletes have spent months away from home competing in a range of snow sport competitions. And for New Zealand's youngest Olympic Games medalist Nico Porteous, it was a chance to show off his gold medal from this year's Beijing Winter Olympics.
Standing here in Wanaka, the medal around my neck is pretty special, and to see all my friends and family come out and support us, and the rest of the New Zealand team is really, really special.
He's been home for a little while, keeping a low profile while he rehabilitates following a recent knee surgery.
Yeah, rehab's going really well. I'm 2 months post-operation, so the knee's feeling really good. I'm up and walking around and back in the gym, so all things are going well.
Big support too for snowboard gold and silver medalist Zoe Sadowski-Sinnott, who's just happy to be home after being overseas for so long.
Yeah, it's pretty nice to be home. Longest I've ever been away, so nice to come back and see family and friends.
Gold and silver winning Winter Paralympian Corey Peters was grateful for all of the people who turned out to welcome him home.
So good to have everybody come down and support us. It just goes to show what a great little community we live in down here in Wanaka.
The athletes are enjoying a short break, waiting for the winter snow to settle in here in Wanaka before heading up the slopes for their home season. In Wanaka, the South Today.
Christchurch's next generation of cricketers have had their first look at the city's new indoor training facility. The Sir Richard Hadley Sports Centre was officially opened at Hagley Oval by an emotional Sir Richard, who took to the bowling crease after an absence of 20 years.
The covers have been lifted on Christchurch's first indoor cricket training facility since the Canterbury earthquakes. Excited young cricketers eagerly took to the nets as the Sir Richard Hadley Sports Centre was officially opened. The cricketing legend who the facility is named after, speaking to the crowd that helped bring the project to fruition.
For nearly 4 years, I've wanted to be here on opening day, and that day has finally arrived, thankfully. This was a project that's been very meaningful to me.
70-year-old Sir Richard Hadley has been battling cancer since 2018.
So really it's a gift, it's a legacy to the cricket, and I'm very pleased to be part of that.
The New Zealand cricket community helped raise more than $20 million for the indoor sports centre, which will help improve the skills of local players. Hadley says he's honoured the world-class facility bears his name.
I've been working hard on the project personally for about 4 years now. Well, it's been in the pipeline for a long time, part of the Hagley Cricket Precinct, and now it makes this ground complete.
The final piece of the ceremony involved Hadley bowling the first ball, with 13-year-old Kira Hartland from St Margaret's College chosen to face him. She admits she was very nervous walking to the crease to face the legendary New Zealand fast bowler, but she didn't miss her shot, Hadley signalling a boundary off his bowling. The team say $200,000 is still needed for fittings to complete the project, but they're confident of being able to reach the final target. In Christchurch, the South Today.
That wraps up this edition of Southern Newsweek. For the latest news and videos from the Southern region, head online to odt.co.nz, and you can follow Channel 39 on YouTube to catch our news bulletins on demand. Nō reira, kia pai te pō, ka kite anō.
Public interest journalism funded through New Zealand On Air.